How's it going? So let me get my other podcast recording stuff up and going and we can go live. Hey, hello, leaders. Hey, this is Paul Grau Jr., and welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. So today I'm continuing on through John Maxwell's newest book, High Road Leadership, Bringing People Together in a World That Divides. And this is an amazing book. I highly recommend you pick it up for yourself and read through it because I'm just skimming the surface. I mean, I'm not going below the surface and I'm only covering a little bit out of each chapter. So something that really stood out to me, which today I'm going to be covering chapter 8, and it was about embracing authenticity. And this chapter alone was by far my favorite chapter. I mean, there are so many gold nuggets in this chapter that I could probably do podcasts for the next month just on what I learned from this one section, not only the entire chapter. John lays out 6 things that you can do to help you embrace authenticity. And, over the years, but, that's not 100% true. I mean, the only person, the only person that knows the real true me, I would say, is my wife, because she sees me all the time at my best, at my worst, at when I'm okay. And this chapter, and specifically this section that I'm going to be covering, was amazing. So John lays out, like I said, 6 things that you can do to help embrace authenticity. And I'm just going to key on one. I'm going to key on this one section, and it was the third one. And it says, embrace the value of character over reputation. Now, as I just stated, I could literally make podcasts for 2 weeks, a month, just on this section because it's so powerful. But I'm going to try to break it down into, under 10 minutes here and really tell you all about how this 2-page section was so just life-changing for me. It was amazing. So before I get into it, John says that character determines who you are and how you interact. Let me see. I'm going to read it here just to make sure. Character determines who you are, how you interact with people, and what you're capable of accomplishing. Now, that's key right there, okay? Because when you think of character, yeah, there's character traits, there's this and that, but how do you really embrace authenticity by valuing, putting value on your character? And that's what this section really goes into. Because have you ever asked somebody, or have you ever heard somebody ask, hey, or say, this person is the real deal. This person is legitimately the real deal. Well, what does that mean to you? And also, have you ever heard anybody say, they see somebody popular on TV or, just somebody who's big? It could even be your preacher. It could be anybody. And you kind of ask somebody else, I wonder what they are, when they're not in front of people. Are they really this genuine and this authentic, or is this their authentic self, or is this kind of a mask? Because let's face it, we all put on some kind of little mask. Oh, I don't want to say we all, but a lot of us, we put on some kind of mask because we know that we have faults and we want to cover those faults up. When we go in public and we're around people, we want them to see the best of us. However, this chapter really points out that by seeing their flaws, and when people see our flaws and we admit to them, and when people see the real us, that's the only way that we can truly get authentic. And anything less than that, we're kind of getting out of our character. We're out of integrity with our values and beliefs. We are basically, out of alignment of who we are, who we really, really, really are. Now, I've seen John Maxwell in person several times. I shook his hand. I've got pictures with him. I've talked briefly to him. And I'll tell you, there was thousands of people there at the conferences whenever I see him. But he takes time to take pictures with people. And, if it wasn't for somebody kind of ushering him from place to place or wherever he has to be in that conference, he would probably sit there and talk to people like all day, because you could tell he's really genuine. He is the real deal. What you see is what you get. Now, of course, he's probably tired. He's on stage a lot, but when other speakers are speaking, he's right there in the audience at his table taking notes, and he's learning. He's always learning. So when he says that, he is the real deal. So the value of character, it says to put character first. Put character first. Align your character. And hold on, let me read this, because I don't want to screw it. This is really important, because John says that at age 24, he made the decision to put his character first. Put character first and align my actions and words with my beliefs. Now, think about that. Align my actions and my words with my beliefs. So are your actions and words in alignment with your beliefs all the time? And, this may be why there is so much division, but that's what I first started thinking when I was like this. I was like, well, man, if my words and actions, if they all aligned with my beliefs, I'd probably be ticking a lot of people off. But no, I'm missing the point here, because your true authentic self does reveal your flaws. And there's just something about being vulnerable and letting your flaws be seen and admitting that you have these flaws that's special. I mean, if you think about the leader that you are or the leaders that you have, can you honestly say that they are truly authentic and that they're the real deal? Or do they put on a mask? Are they different with you alone as they are, or from the time they're with you alone and then the time when they're with a lot of people? If they're not, they're not truly authentic. And I don't know who can really say that, because, man, we all have some kind of front, right? We all let our guard down, as the saying goes, when we're not around people. But anyway, John said when he made that decision, he said to himself, and he wrote it down. He said, I will only teach what I believe. This gives me passion. Man, that is so true. Because when I'm teaching the stuff that I really love, man, I'm up like on the, I teach a lot online. So I'm up and I'm like almost dancing, and if you could see this, if you could see the video on YouTube right now, that was bad, but I'm on the balls of my feet dancing, and it's like, I can really feel that passion. But when I'm teaching stuff that I don't believe, or I'm not really in my gifting, man, that passion's just not there. And he also went on to say, so he said, I will only teach what I believe. This gives me passion. I will only teach what I experience. This gave me moral authority. And I will only teach what I live. This gave me authenticity. So, in other words, if we're teaching somebody else that's different than the way we truly are, the way we truly live, at work, at home, with friends, family, when we're alone, I mean, I think you can almost say that you are really the only one that knows you. I'm the only one that really knows me, because I know what I'm thinking, right? So only you or me are the only ones that can tell others if we're being totally authentic. So the real, and I'm just skimming over this stuff, and there's so much deeper stuff that I can get into here, but for lack of time, I want to, I want to keep it as short as possible. But this next one, it talked about, John says, people of good character have no reason to feel threatened by views different from their own. Now, if you think of today's world and how divided it is, why are we so divided? Well, I believe that we're divided because our views and our beliefs in certain things are different, and we don't value that other person enough to really, really respect them and respect their view. Because John goes on to say, he says, people who acquire, it's important. There's a more important strength people acquire when they develop good character. They are more able to respect others, listen to them, and understand their perspective. Why? Because people of good character have no reason to feel threatened by views different from their own. When people express opposing opinions, our natural tendency is to correct them and to put them in their place, right? I mean, that's our natural tendencies. That takes us off the high road. Now, John says, I must admit that I did that too often in the past, but now I check myself. I challenge myself to listen and respect the other person and their view. That puts me back on the high road. That last sentence there really hit home for me. And this is where I started tying everything else that I've already talked about in this section about, I underlined respect the person and their view. And I don't do that. And it's tough. This is really, really hard. John admits that he admitted that he didn't do that too often in the past. Well, that's where I'm at. I respect people. I think I do. But I don't necessarily respect their viewpoint if it's drastically different from me, especially on key issues. And I'm not going to get into them, but politics, abortion, jobs, economy, all kinds of different things. Now, on leadership, I do. I respect people's different viewpoints on leadership because I'm interested in learning about that. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think I don't respect their viewpoint because I think that my viewpoint is right. And I want to correct them and put them in their place, just like it says here. But it goes deeper than that. I circled this, respect the person and their view. And I wrote below it, what if I can't respect their view? And man, I really pondered and prayed about this because I'm like, I don't respect a lot of people's viewpoints if they're against me, especially on big issues. Gender, the whole race wars, and man, I get so ticked off when I see certain things, and I'm like, how can they think this way, or how can they think this way? And so I don't necessarily respect their view. I know their view, or I think I do, but I don't have enough good character. And this is what I kind of came to this point. I don't think my character is good enough for me to live out my values and my beliefs with my actions and my words. And that's hard to say. I mean, I'm a man of integrity. I seek the truth. But this showed me that I am not, my actions and words don't necessarily reflect my beliefs, because my belief is, first chapter of this book talks about value all people, value everyone. And I do. And I back it up in some key issues. All right. Abortion. I value life. But then again, when I was talking to my wife, she's like, well, you're out of integrity with that value. you value life, you value the life of that baby, but then you turn around and say that you don't value this one person because they got different viewpoints from you. And that was like a sledgehammer hitting me in the head. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so true. So then I got rethinking. I was like, man, if I value life, I have got to value every life. And if I value every life, I'm going to value every person. And if I value every person, I'm going to respect that person. I'm going to respect that person enough to listen to them and try to learn their view of things that aren't in alignment with my views. And I think this resonated with me so deep is because, man, it made me cry almost, because I realized that my actions and words aren't living up to my beliefs and my values. So, and then I got thinking about myself. I think subconsciously, I really don't value myself at times because I know I'm out of integrity with my values. So I say I value life, but then I look at somebody and I know I don't value them because of their viewpoint. And that's just dumb. I should value everybody. Like I said earlier, John answers the question in chapter 1. He was speaking and he's talking at this conference about how you need to value everybody. And this woman stood up and said, "Hey, how can you value me? You don't even know me." And John asked permission to share it because it was a part of his faith. But he said, basically, God created us, everyone, in his image. So everyone should be valued. He values them, so I value them. Boom. Drop the mic. If that's what I believe, I should value everybody. So, in essence, subconsciously, I know that sometimes I don't value other people because of their beliefs and because of their viewpoints. And therefore, subconsciously, I don't value myself. And that's what really stung. That's what really hurt, because I want to value myself. I want to like myself. I want to love myself, but I don't think I can get that deep relationship with myself until I start living by my values. Until I start being a true, authentic man of character, where my actions and words align perfectly with my beliefs and values. And when I could do that, I will value everybody and I will respect them. And I'll respect them enough to listen to them. And I may not agree with their viewpoint. That's okay. You can respect somebody and not agree with them. Just because people disagree, that doesn't mean we don't have to value them. That doesn't mean that we don't have to respect them. Every life is valuable. And I'm going to try harder. And this is something that I'm going to really work on. And I know I'm putting myself out there when I say this, but I forgive the people who I don't value because of our viewpoints being different. And I think this is such a key. And I think it's the number one key that divides our world. We're not valuing other people. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go over my values and I'm going to really assess myself. And I know I've gone way over. I'm almost hitting 20 minutes here, and I apologize for that. But I'm going to reassess my values. I'm going to reassess my words, my actions, and I'm going to try to be that true, authentic self, whether I'm speaking on this podcast or whether I'm with my wife or whether we're out to dinner as a family, or whether I'm working or at a conference or talking to somebody, I've been having a lot of coffee chats. I try to be as real as possible. And I need to try harder. And I think that's the only way we're going to become a united nation and world, is when we start trying harder to value people. And that's it for today. This is a really tough subject for me to discuss, because up until I read that and I really pondered that, and I had a good hour conversation with Jen, my wife, and man, it brought me to tears, made my eyeballs sweat a little bit. So I hope you think about that, and ask yourself: are you truly authentic? Are you the real deal? So that's your challenge for today. Hey, I appreciate you listening, and come on back tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to talk about the next chapter. And the next chapter is taking accountability. Hold on. Taking accountability for your actions. Whoo! That's going to be a good one too. Hey, have a great rest of your day. And until tomorrow, run to your challenges. We'll see you. Hey, I just closed the podcast recording, and I'm going to wrap up the YouTube, but this was truthfully a very difficult chapter for me. This one section in particular. And if you buy the book, it's pages 144 and 145. And I got the link to the book in the show notes. You can feel free to click on that. Man, I would highly recommend you buy this book, because this book is really life-changing. These 2 pages have stopped me in my tracks. They really have. And if these 2 pages have half or a quarter of the impact on people who read this book, I think our lives are going to change for the better. I think we're going to have people coming together with different viewpoints and respecting each other enough to really have conversations with them and listen to them. And at the end of the conversation, they may disagree, but at the end of the conversation, they're still going to respect each other enough and respect their viewpoints, because we all have different perspectives. And my perspective is not the absolute only true perspective. Everybody's perspective is true to them. So if I'm going to value other people, I have to really wake up and be that person. Hey, take it easy. We'll see you tomorrow. Hope you're enjoying it.